We've run through the introduction of this paper, started with what is the meaning of strategic planning. So there are 3 levels of management. What is their role? What kind of planning they are involved with? See, to achieve the basic objective of the organization, or the very basic reason why the organization is established, given in the mission statement. To achieve that, we see that the 3 different levels of management. What is the planning that they are involved in? So that is what we have understood. Then understood that before implementing anything, there are different analyses that are taken up. We see that there is one internal analysis, external analysis, as well as the stakeholder analysis. These 3 types of analysis are taken up. So we understand that as SWOT for the internal and external analysis. SW stand for strengths and weaknesses of the organization internally. These are internal factors. Then the external factors are the opportunities and threats that are present for the organization in the external environment. Apart from the SWOT analysis, the stakeholder analysis is also taken up. So to understand, there is a model also given by Menlo to talk about what kind of a strategy should be adopted to deal with different types of stakeholders. Now, stakeholders, we will look into that model a little later. So stakeholders, list out all the stakeholders, what is their interest in the organization, depending on how powerful they are and what is their interest in the organization, what kind of strategy should be adopted. So that analysis is also taken up. So now this would be called as, see, when these analyses are taken up, what is possible for the organization to achieve? We can call that to be as the expected performance. But the mission statement talks about the desire, what they want to achieve. The mission statement has a reason why it is established. So there is a desire for an organization to achieve some purpose. So that can be taken as a desired performance, and what is possible for them to achieve, given the fact that there are certain external factors affecting the performance of the organization internally, how strong or how weak they are, and what is the expectation of the stakeholders when it is taken into consideration, what is expected of them. That is called as expected performance. So when they both are matched with each other, if they are on par, then there's no issue. It is possible to achieve the desire or the mission of the organization. But let's say if they are not on par, they do not match with each other. So there is a gap that exists between these two, desired performance and expected performance. So now, how to close the gap? How to ensure that the expected performance matches with the desired performance? If we let's say if we put it as a graphical presentation, let's for example, now if this is the desired performance, but because of certain factors, let's say if their expected performance stands somewhere here. So now we see that there is a gap between the expected performance and desired performance. So this gap has to be closed. So what strategies do they adopt to close the gap that is between the expected performance and the desired performance? So on that note, we see that there are certain choices that are available. The organization should adopt a competitive strategy. Competitive strategy for each business unit. In terms of maybe they can enhance the features of the product, that is called as differentiation, or they can cut down on the cost control can be another strategy. How do they grow? What is the strategy for them for growth? Would they be growing at an incremental pace, that is year after year a percentage of growth is seen, or they would want to grow dynamically? by joining with others as a joint venture or taking over some other business as acquisition or merger. Um, that is about the growth. Then what is the direction for their growth is in terms of what are the new markets they would enter into, how what are the new products they would come up with. So those are the directions for growth. So work out on the in these areas to ensure that the gap that is present there can be closed, closing the gap. Then, while implementing, see, whenever there is a plan, planning and control go hand in hand. So there should also be a control measure which has to be taken up. See, just to ensure that the plans are effectively implemented. So while implementation happens, this implementation has to be compared with the plan. Only on comparison, it is possible to understand that the implementation is as per the plan. So for the purpose of um, measuring the performance, the KPIs are used. I will talk about KPIs little later. So with the help of KPIs, the whether the implementation is appropriate or not, appropriately implemented or not, can be understood. So constant monitoring helps them to control, if at all, if there are any deviations from the plans. The implementation is not as per the plan. Then we've also understood about what are the strategic options that are present. That is, the plans that are prepared are acceptable to all the stakeholders. It is suitable to the nature of the business and the purpose of the business, and whether it is possible for them to achieve the strategic plans, the plans that are prepared. That is, it is whether it is feasible or not. That also has to be ensured. Then we understood about the budgets. Budgets are prepared, budgets of financial plans that are prepared, and when they are implemented, so the actual performance is compared with the budgeted performance to ensure that both of them are on par. But otherwise, if at all, if there is any deviation from the budget, so those deviations are looked into, they are examined, analyzed why these variations are present. If at all, if there are any corrective measures which can be taken to correct the deviation, measures are taken to correct the deviation. Did I explain CSFs and KPIs in the last class? I don't remember where did we end. What was the last topic we've done?
Ma'am, last class I was not present, ma'am.
Who else is there in the class? Were you there? Let me just check the name. Karthik, were you there, Karthik? Now also you're not there, I guess. Driving, Karthik. Okay, even I am not able to find. So anyway, since you were not there, so let's continue. We're talking about measuring the performance, So the plans that are prepared and implemented, are they were they effectively implemented or not, is what has to be understood. So to measure the performance, um, here we've understood that KPIs are used. But before KPIs, we have to understand that there are certain factors, critical success factors, which have to be identified. What does it mean by critical success factors. See, for the performance of something, there are certain factors which contribute to the success. Let's say, for example, if a student is preparing for the examination, so the success for the student to be successful in the examination, there are certain important factors like the time which is spent, the study hours, the resources that are available, the hard work which the student is willing to put in, um, see the material, the lecture, classes, etc., or the recordings, or see, all those are important. Apart from that, the intellectual ability of the student, all these are factors which ensure that the student, I mean, these things talk about the students' performance and contribute towards the success of the student in the examination. So every aspect of it, we can see for every entity, we can see that there are certain critical success factors. For a business also, there are many critical success factors. The sales should be good, profit should be good, and then the customer should be satisfied. The production process is so good that there is no issue with that. They produce excellent products without any defect. The employees are taken care of. Their skills are enhanced from time to time. Likewise, see, we see that multiple areas, the relationship with the customers is good, the relationship with the suppliers is good. Investors come forward to invest in the business. Their performance of the securities or stocks in the stock market is very good. See, these are factors first we have to identify. So we identify like sales is one aspect, then profit is one aspect, customer satisfaction is another aspect, then production is another aspect, the employee satisfaction is another aspect. So multiple factors. See, it is not just one factor which will give them success, but there are multiple factors. So we will not say that all factors are applicable to all businesses, but the factors first have to be identified. So once the factors are identified, these factors, mere identifying is not sufficient. These factors have to be measured with appropriate KPIs. So suitable KPIs are taken. So if we talk about sales, measure the growth of sales. So whether sales is increasing or decreasing, sales, and then profit. We talk about, see, this has to be measured. Mere defining that hard work is important, but the student does not put in any hard work is absolutely, I mean, meaningless. See, when once we define these factors, then we have to see that these factors are measured. For each CSF, each factor, there is a different way to measure that. So if it is sales or profit, then we have to measure that. We would measure that with to ensure there is growth in sales. Sales are growing year after year. Profit is also growing at a particular percentage. Customers, if we talk about customer satisfaction, how to measure the customer satisfaction? So a feedback is collected from the customer. Then the customer satisfaction score is calculated. See whether the customer comes back, repeated sales, do they happen? The customer comes back. So we have to check about the customer loyalty. Is the customer loyal to the brand, product, etc.? Um, so multiple ways in which the customer aspect can be taken up. See whether innovation was provided to the customers or additional features were provided to the customers that the customer becomes satisfied. See, these are various aspects which will be taken into consideration. If we talk about productivity, um, I mean, are they producing better in terms of the quality? Whether quality standards are um, adhered to, the number of defective units produced are reduced, minimized, more number of defect-free products or units are produced, um, something like that we have to look into. See, do they take up customization in terms of production? Do they take up, are they flexible enough to deliver the products to the customers? See, such aspects have to be considered in terms of productivity. How is the place of production? Is it safe for the production work to be carried on, or is it prone to any kind of accidents, accident-free zone, or measures are taken in case where an accident happens, etc. Employees also, on a similar note, employee satisfaction also has to be looked into. If the employee is satisfied, then that will result in um, better performance for the organization. So employee satisfaction, if it is important, what is taken up? See, their skill, their development also has to be taken care of. So employees should be provided from time to time some training sessions, that skill enhancement, skill development is the responsibility of the organization. Such, such kind of measures are, whether they are taken up or not, uh, is the measurement of CSF. So that measurement of CSF is done by way of key performance indicators. So certain indicators measure the critical success factors. So CSFs and KPIs. So before the KPIs are used to measure the CSF, we also have to understand about competencies. See, what are competencies? Um, See, the organization will need to have in place the core competencies that are required to achieve the CSS. See, something which the organization possesses, which others do not have. Even if even if others try to excel, also they may not be on par with them. They may not overtake them. Such kind of um, features which the organization has, we call them to be as core competencies. Then again, we also have another aspect called as threshold competencies. What are threshold competencies? Maybe by practicing those competencies, they can be on par with the competitors, but they will not be able to overtake them. So some um, abilities which the organization has, certain features which the organization has, if they are not present with the others, with the competitors, we call them as core competencies. If they practice certain things effectively, they may be on par with the competitors. We call them as threshold competencies. So that those things also have to be taken into consideration. This is for the purpose of measuring the performance of the organization. Then see the role of management accountant in a business. The management accounting, the concept of management accounting is accounting for the management. See the accounting information which is analyzed, and such information is provided to the management for decision making. The management takes the decision. Accounting um, by itself will not take decisions, but it helps the management take decisions. So that's very basic thing which you have learned at graduation level. So that is the concept of management accounting, and the accountant who prepares these management accounts is called as a management accountant. So that was the concept of the conventional definition meaning of management accountant. Someone who prepares the management account, uh, analyzes the accounting information, and the information is provided to the management to take decisions. But now the role of management accountant is changed. So if you have to put in the expectation from the management accountant is that he should be master of all the things. It's just not about the accounting information. He has to have a knowledge about various aspects of the organization. So what's the management structure, the technologies that are evolving, developing, uh, should have knowledge about the technology aspect, the competitor strategies, the innovative accounting techniques that have come up, all the areas, name it, and then the management accountant should have knowledge about it, information about that. He should be able to provide any kind of an information to the management so that they would be able to take better decisions. So the new role has been called hybrid accountant. See, with these professional qualifications, you also would be taking up a role. The title may be different, but the role would be that of a management accountant. So you are crucial there in the organization with this knowledge about multiple aspects. You have information. You would have information to provide to the management. The management, in a way, depends on those accountants or individuals, or the title could be anything, but someone who is well versed with various aspects of the organization. So with this um, ACCA qualification, see all the professional programs like ACCA, we have CMA, we have CMA, we have CPA. For CPA is catering to the US requirements. It's US gap based. See, other these qualifications will place you in a position where you would be taking crucial decisions, um, or you would be providing certain valuable information, or you would play the role of an advisor in the organization. So advisory services are provided. So for that, the management accountant has to have a lot of information related to multiple aspects. So here it says that apart from the accounting knowledge, the management structure, the technologies, the competitive strategies, the innovation in the accounting field, all of them, any new method which is introduced, the pros and cons of that. So the accountant should be well versed with these things. So therefore, he is called as a hybrid accountant. The concept of integrated reporting is the next topic. What is integrated reporting? The integrated reporting, the financial statements that are prepared do not provide complete information, because see, the definition of accounting says that accounting is an art and science of recording, classifying, summarizing. So summarizing, only the summary is there. Summarizing those transactions which are expressed in monetary value. So only the monetary transactions are there, and that too, these monetary transactions are recorded in a summarized format. So many details are not included. See, if it is a non-monetary transaction, such non-monetary transaction or any activity that happens in the organization, we do not find it in the financial statements, like signing up of an MOU, joining with another business, or another entity, joining in, forming a joint venture, etc. See, we do not have the details about those things. See, there are disputes in the organization, we don't find. See, they are not measurable in terms of money, so we do not see them. There is a strike called off in the factory, we do not see that. But only when there is some amount of loss that happens on account of strike, once it is measured in terms of money, we see an entry in the books of account. But otherwise, we don't see the transactions which are non-monetary in the financial statements. Then we don't have any details about what are the transactions, and the details about the transactions. If the assets are purchased, see, the details of the assets are not there. If it is, let's say, if it is a machinery account, we have the machinery as one item, one transaction. But for the multiple items of machinery are not there. What's the details about the method of depreciation which is followed? How much? Only the monetary value of depreciation would be known. But for what period was it calculated, at what rate? The details about that we do not see. See the expenses that are incurred. Um, the total expense for the total year, the full year, is presented there in the income statement, but we do not have the details about that. Likewise, there are many transactions, the details of which are not present in the financial statement. So now the stakeholders have expectation from the organization. They seek information. They expect information to be presented by the organization. So the financial statements, because they fail to provide all that information, therefore certain other reports are also prepared. See, when reports on multiple aspects are prepared, those reports are integrated with the report on financial statements, and we call that as integrated reporting. Um, what are the reports? So if we talk about what are the reports, the reports are presented in the form of 6 different types of capital. We see here there are 6 different types of capital: financial capital, manufactured capital, intellectual capital, human, social, and relationship, and then finally it is the natural capital. There are 6 different types of capital. Financial capital. So financial capital, anyway, it's there. The details of that we can find them in the financial statements. Okay, so these details are present there in the financial statement. Then manufactured capital. What is manufactured capital? What constitutes manufactured capital is it is property, plant, and equipment. So basically, it is about the fixed assets. The details about the fixed assets, the life of each asset, what's the method of depreciation which is adopted to charge against each asset. The details about that. So what's the original cost? What's the book value? Multiple details. See if at all if there was any revaluation of the assets, etc. So the basic information about these manufactured capital is also found in the financial statement, but any other additional information which the stakeholders are looking at, that can be found in the category, in the report on the manufactured capital. Intellectual capital and human capital. The human capital talks about the number of employees that are appointed, what skill set do they possess. See, the intellectual ability, the intellectual capital, what is their caliber, what are they good at, what is that they can achieve. See, so those details, their qualification, their knowledge, the skill set, all of them are presented under the category called as intellectual capital. So this is about the employees, the human resources, the staff of the organization. Then we see social and relationship capital. When they join with other organizations, have partnership with trade unions and the community. So when they um, are in relationship with other related organizations, we call that to be a social and relationship capital. So that also has some importance. If they are partners with some other organization, that carries some value there. So that is presented as social and relationship capital. Finally, the last one says it is natural capital. So what's natural capital? If at all, if they are using the resources, so resources are renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources, it is about the resources which they are using, the details about that. Let's say if they are using the non-renewable resources, so what measures are taken? Something to do with the sustainability plans. I mean, is there any effort from the organization side to ensure that they consume less of these non-renewable resources? What plans and actions do they have to ensure that they carry forward some of these non-renewable resources to the future generation? That's about the sustainability. So a detail that will provide sufficient information to the environmentalist groups. There are people bothered about what impact the organization has on the environment. So are they taking appropriate care and measures to ensure that there is less impact on the environment, etc. So natural capital talks about the renewable and non-renewable resources which are used by the organization. Benchmarking. See, benchmarking, we are all now looking at the See, the paper title itself is Advanced Performance Management. So every topic what we talk about it, in a way that gets connected to the performance. So here, benchmarking is one tool which is used to measure the performance. Um, See, benchmarking is a tool which is used to measure the performance. So, what's benchmarking basically? What's the benchmark? See, any entity which is considered to have achieved something remarkable is considered as a standard. See, for example, um, since you are working, organizations also we have some of them are top achievers, so employee of the year or some, their performance is considered to be as the benchmark. The others performance would usually be compared with the performer, top performance, uh, achievers performance, and then some suggestions are made from time to time. So that process is called as benchmark. So benchmark is any entity which has achieved some anything which is remarkable or considered as a standard. Then other that will be later on used for comparing the performance of the other entities. So we can see benchmarks ben- in the internally internal benchmarks, then we see competitors among the competitors, then we see benchmarking in process or activity. Internal benchmark or internal benchmarking is among the internal units and departments of the organization. One unit, when it is considered to be considered to have achieved something remarkable, then it would be called as an internal benchmark, and the comparison of the performance of the other units or departments will take place with this benchmark or the standard one, the unit in the organization. So on comparison, certain things are identified, then the performance is measured and suggestions are also made. See, from among the competitors, one competitor can be considered as a benchmark, and the comparison of the performance of other competitors will happen with this benchmark. Process or activity, one process can be considered as benchmark. See, this process from entities which are not in direct competition. See, the main issue here is for the performance measurement or anything if we are talking about, the competitors do not come forward to share the information because the information is confidential. So they do not come forward. They would not be willing to share the information even if it is for benchmarking purpose. So in that case, um, proceeding further becomes difficult. So if we see that if one process is considered as benchmark, then such similar processes which are taken place in the other organizations, only to that extent of that process, only the comparison takes place. So since competitors do not come forward to share the information, so it is generally not exercised among the competitors, but some organizations which are not in direct competition, so the process benchmarking can take place. There are three different types of benchmarks: internal, competitor, and process or activity. See, when benchmarking happens, see what variables are used for comparison, because basically benchmarking is a an activity of comparison. So when they are compared, so how to compare? Certain variables have to be used. For example, so what's the sales of X department or sales of Y department? So then we compare. So there are likewise multiple factors, multiple variables can be taken up for comparison. See, there are three different levels of management in an organization. We already know strategic, functional, of the middle, or the tactical, and the operational. Strategic level is involved in planning for the entire organization as a whole. Um, so, what variables are used if there is benchmarking happening at the strategic level? See, because it is considered, strategic level considers the entire organization. So the organization as a whole, how to measure the performance. Such variables are used, like what's the market share of this organization. Um, Market share talks about among the total customers, how many customers are there with them, the total amount of sales made by the industry, what share of the sales did this organization make. So that is how market share is measured. Then what is the return on assets, or what is the profit margins which the organization as a whole has made? So those variables are used to measure the performance at the strategic level as a whole. Then if it is at the middle level, what is the role of middle level management? They are involved in planning in detail, planning for the people in the organization, planning um, in detail about what is the role of each department, division in the organization, etc. So if their planning is about the work that has to be assigned to people in the organization, um, detailed planning, so the variables that can be used for benchmarking are what's the percentage of deliveries on time, or order turnaround time, order cost per order. See, the work that they have planned to be assigned to people, how did they perform that? So many multiple variables are there. So such kind of variables are taken at the middle level. At the operational level, we see show reasons for a functional performance gap. See, operational level, what are they involved in? They are involved with implementation. They are the ones who implement the plans prepared at the strategic and the functional level. So at the operational level, on comparison, whatever is implemented, they would get to understand the reasons for a functional performance gap. They would get to understand what gap is present there while implementing that, and take any kind of corrective measure. There are 7 steps in benchmarking process. The benchmarking is a comparison activity, an activity which involves comparison. The first step, there are 7 steps in benchmarking. The first step, I hope the screen is clear. Step number 1 talks about what is the objective, why the benchmarking activity is to be taken up. So set objectives and decide the areas to benchmark. See, what's the objective? What area they want to take up the benchmarking activity. That's the first thing. See, understand what's the objective, what's the purpose, why. Uh, in terms of measuring the performance, what is that they want to measure? What is that they are looking at? See, objectives could be like profit maximization, or profit maximization and customer satisfaction. Sometimes customer satisfaction is the primary objective, secondary is profit maximization. They want to become market leaders. Increase in market share could be their objective. Be called as number one company in the country, or globally they want to be called as the best in the top 10 companies or top 100 companies. So some objective, whatever is their objective, so that has to be identified. So accordingly, the areas to benchmark has to be decided. See, their primary objective is about profitability. So choose the variables where, choose the areas where the profitability part of it can be measured. So first look at the objective and choose the areas too. If it is about profit maximization, they cannot keep on measuring about whether value was added to the customers, what relationship they have with the suppliers. So such kind of things, see, do not serve the purpose. See, if their objective is customer satisfaction, talk about customer satisfaction. If their objective is profit maximization, talk about, or area to measure the performance should be related to profit maximization. That's how benchmarking process begins with. First, identify the objective and accordingly choose the areas to benchmark. The second one talks about identify the KPIs and the drivers. So to measure the this is basically to measure the performance. So to measure the performance, what variables are to be chosen? What are the KPIs? How to measure these variables that are chosen with the help of key performance indicators. So if we are talking about profitability, growth in profits, if you talk about customer satisfaction, see how do they understand, take up feedback from the customer, etc. See, customer satisfaction also is measured in terms of whether additional features were added to their see, the quality of the product, quality enhancement, more features, innovation, multiple things. So we need to look into what is the area where they want to compare and accordingly select the KPIs. See, whatever is that purpose, accordingly select the KPIs. So identify KPIs and drivers. Drivers talk about what's the usage of that particular variable. Based on the usage, the performance would be measured. The third point is now where should the benchmarking activity be implemented? The benchmarking, are they looking at internal benchmarking or among the competitors benchmarking, or is it a process benchmark? So who are the partners whose performance is measured? Select organizations or partners for benchmarking comparison. So if it is within the organization, select department 1, 2, 3, so on. If it is among the competitors, select the competitor 1, 2, 3, so on. If it is a process in which organization? So select like that. So select organizations or partners for benchmarking process. Then fourth step says measure performance of all organizations partners involved in benchmarking. So at that point where they have decided to benchmark, see, once the organizations or partners are selected, until that point, what is their performance is to be first measured, because suggestions would be made later on. Until that point, what is that they have achieved is noted down. So measured performance of all organization partners involved in benchmark. Then when the performance is measured, compare the performance of all the partners. On comparison, it would be identified, are there any suggestions to be made for improvement? So such suggestions would be made. Specify improvement projects. Any improvements to be made, that would be identified only on comparison. So when they compare, they get to understand what what suggestions can be made for improvement. And then we see when the suggestions for improvement are implemented. Now that also has to be taken care of it. So it has to be closely monitored whether the suggestions for improvement are effectively implemented, appropriately implemented. So as per the suggestions made, those changes are made in the organization and implemented. So implement and monitor implement. So this is a process of benchmarking. Usually I make the students um, work out a case study on benchmarking. Today's class will not do anything because only two of you are there. If the strength is increases, then we can start with the case study part of it. The rest of the time also, see, one more hour is there. The rest of the time also I will talk about the conceptual topics only. But from the next week onwards, the coming class onwards, for every topic starting from benchmarking, see, the introduction strategic planning also gets covered in the case studies which we take up. So starting from benchmarking, every topic every topic that we study, we would be doing a case study. So how to answer case studies in the examination also we will take that. But today, because only two of you are there, I am not picking up any case study. But next Saturday onwards, we'll start one case study on each topic. Um, when would your exams be? One doubt I have.
Sorry, ma'am.
When would your exams for this particular period? I mean,
Ma'am, it will be in February 2022 or 23, ma'am.
on fully no semester which
Yeah, semester, ma'am. This is a weekend batch, ma'am.
oh, what's the duration of this program?
It's 2 years, ma'am. One semester is for 1 year. The previously we had first sem exam in February month. Again, next sem exam will be in February of next year.
Your degree will be done in
It will be done in 2 years. All the exams will get completed, ma'am, and one more year will be like for project work.
oh, the content whatever is delivered in the class. Can we expect that it would be there with you, or every class we start with introduction and then proceed further?
No, ma'am. The recorded classes will be there, no, ma'am.
So you are depending on recorded messages. So
Yeah.
it would not be connecting class after class, so you don't get automatically connected.
Yeah, weekly. Yeah, ma'am.
Once.
That changes are there. Yeah.
Saturday responses like this only generally.
Sorry, ma'am.
Is the strength on Saturdays like this?
Yeah, every Saturdays and Sundays there will be class for us
So I'm just
because
asking.
we are working, ma'am. Actually,
I
we.
know that's why. See, between the 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, the strength is less on Saturdays and good on Sundays, or any such kind of pattern is there?
No, ma'am. That is completely dependent on.
I know. Then again, I have to think about it. No, if I'm taking a class on Saturday, what is that I can expect from the class? If the
Yeah.
strength is good, then it feels like, and one or two also, we deliver the content. There's nothing like that. But then the class is full. It feels little better, and we also feel motivated. See,
Yeah.
one or two, and then one or two consistently the same is good. Then again, if they change, then we also lose track of that. Okay, fine. The next topic, anyway, we've already covered about SWOT analysis. The internal factors were in terms of strengths and weaknesses, the external factors in the external environment, what are the opportunities and threats that are present to the organization. This supports SWOT. See, another way to measure the performance is with the help of Boston Consulting Group matrix. The Boston Consulting Group um, there is a matrix which is given. See, here it is about measuring the performance and later on categorizing the entities into any of these four categories. We see that um, there are four quadrants here. Um, a star, then we see problem child, cash cow, dog. See now, these four quadrants are based on a matrix here with two different variables. Horizontally, there is a variable called as market share. What does market share talk about? See, if there are total number of customers in the market, among these customers, how many of them are their customers? So, to what extent were they able to capture the market? Talks about the market share. Then we see there is another variable which is vertically present here called as market growth. So what is market growth? Market growth talks about the possibility to grow further. The growth is not eternal. Um, the growth for every product, process, business, we see there is a lifetime. The introduction, it grows and then it reaches a maturity point, and beyond that, there is no more possibility to grow. Then again, it falls. So that's decline. So we see that there is a possibility to grow or not is about market growth. So market growth is the possibility to grow in future. So this is a variable which talks about the future. This is a variable which talks about the present performance. At present, were they able to capture the market, have a major share in the market or not is about market share, the present performance. See, did they achieve anything remarkable? Did they capture a major portion of the market? So that is to the left side of this axis. We see it is high. On to the right side, it is low, which means that as of now, if the performance is good, they were able to capture the market. We see that the market share is given as high. But let's say if they were not able to capture the market share, they have not achieved anything remarkable, the performance is not up to the mark, the market share is called as low. That's on the right side. Then the growth aspect. See, if there is possibility to grow. How is it possible to grow for the organization? The growth happens when the industry grows. If the possibility for the industry to grow is present, along with the industry or the market, the firm also will grow. So the prospects, the possibility for the organization or the entity, the unit to grow along with the growth of the market is high on the top, is low on the bottom. But growth, when growth has to happen, an important point what we have to understand is additional investment is what is required. So uh, growth does not happen automatically. When they pump in more amount of funds, they invest more cash flows into the business. Along with that additional investment, growth also happens. So that has to be considered. That has to be remembered about growth is possible only when additional investment is made. Okay. So now this is the matrix which is given with the two variables, market share and market growth. Let's see if the market share is high, which means that as of now they have performed well. The performance is good, considered as high. Along with that, we also see that the scope to do well in the future is also quite high. The possibility to do well in the future is also high. So if that is the case, Such kind of entities or units, business units, are called as stars. Okay. Let's say if there is not much which was achieved until now, the market share is low and the market growth is high. Until now, their performance is not up to the mark, but it looks positive. It looks, I mean, the future looks bright because there is a chance for them to grow along with the growth of the market. So possibility is there. So they are called as, such units are called as problem child, or there's another variable which is used to describe this these type of entities. We call it as question mark, either problem child or question mark. Then we see if the market share is high, they have achieved something remarkable, but market growth is low. Why would that happen? Maybe they must have reached that maturity, that saturation point. They might be here at this peak beyond which there's no possibility. But as of now, they have achieved very good performance. They have captured the market, but the growth aspect is very low. Okay, so we call such units or entities as cash cow. Okay, finally, the last category we see, they've not achieved anything as of now. Their market share is on the lower side, low, and the worst thing is the scope to do well in the future is also not present for them. The growth aspect is also on the lower side. See, when they have not achieved anything, no chance for them to do well in the future also is there. There's no point for such entities to continue. So they are shut down. So dogs are abandoned, so such units are shut down. So that is what would happen with any unit or entity or a firm which falls into the category of dog. Dogs are, though they are shut down, they are closed. Why are we calling the second one as problem child? Problem child, or it is a question mark. So why are we calling it? Why are we labeling it as a problem child or a question mark? See, they have not achieved anything, but chance is there that they can do well in the future. Scope wise, yes, scope is high. But then utilizing that possibility, they have to do well. They have to capture the market. But if they continue to do perform the same manner, then it would be like they will not be capturing that possibility or encashing that possibility. If at all, if they perform well and they increase their market share along with the growth of the market, they would move into a star category. See, if their market share increases, improves, and it becomes high, because they are growing along with the growth of the market, they can move into the star category. But let's say if they continue to perform poorly, badly, then in the possibility to grow, if they do not utilize it properly, if their performance is again on the lower side, then they can fall into the dog category. That's why it is a question mark whether they will go into star category or they will fall into dog category. That's why it's a question mark, or it is called as a problem check. Third quadrant, cash cow. See, cash cow, they've captured the market very well. Their market share is very high, but because they have reached that saturation point, no chance for them to grow further. What follows them is the decline. What next is the decline? So when it is decline, they just have to exit the market. So they should think about divestment, because the future is not bright. So should think about divestments, and then think about withdrawing this investment and investing elsewhere, some other possibility, opportunity where they can grow. Okay. That is about cash cow. A star cannot be a star forever. Star also has a point where they can perform well. Maybe it is until the maturity point, till they reach that maturity. Beyond that maturity point, there would be no more growing for them. So stars also, when they reach the maturity point, fall into cash cow category. Okay, that is what is happens with the star eventually when they reach the maturity point. Okay, see, cash cows, um, they should think about divestment. So this is theoretically, this is the model. There, of course, there are certain other criticism or about this particular model. See, if the life cycle reaches the maturity, need not be concluded that what follows next would be decline. See, sometimes technology, sometimes innovations also can revive the life cycle. See, because of innovation, because of technology, new users of that particular product or service can be found out. Then again, the life cycle again can pick up, and then it starts growing. So we cannot, very, cannot define it very clearly and then say that this is what would happen. So from the cash cow point of view, there may be possibility to do well with innovative ideas and measures. So that is criticism what we can talk about. So dogs also need not be always thought about shutting down. So maybe with the technology, with the innovation, so they can also find a way to grow. It's not necessary that the ultimate thing what will happen with the dog is that they should be shut down. So these are some criticisms which are given in terms of what is this matrix called as Boston Consulting Group matrix. Since you have mentioned that your exams are at least 6 months away, minimum 6 months away, even if I'm meeting you twice a month, also many more times I will meet you. So, what's the rush in finishing the entire content today? Let's do case studies from the exam kit, and see, for each topic, let's finish off the case study. I was thinking maybe in the near future you will have to write the exam, so I thought first I'll finish the content, and case studies can be done later on. Instead of that, see, as and when you learn the content, immediately you finish off learning the way in which the case studies have to be answered in the examination. That will be easy for you. See, when you're following the recordings also, that is all. That also would be easy for you to have all of them at one place in one video. So let me open the exam. Just a second. Okay, let's do a case study on benchmarking. I think only the time available will allow us to do only one case study. So we'll do this one. There is a question here in the examination kit called as Ganymede University. First, let's read through the case and then see how the answers, how we can answer such a case. So the question is exclusively on benchmarking. The questions are: assess the progress of the benchmarking exercise to date, explain the actions that have been undertaken and those that are still required, evaluate as far as possible Ganymede University's benchmark position. So that's the question. The details are: Ganymede University GU is one of the three largest universities in Thailand, which has 8 universities in total. All of the universities are in the public sector. GU obtains the vast majority of its revenue through government contracts for academic research and payments per head for teaching students. The economy of Thailand has been in recession in the last year, and this has caused the government to cut funding for all the universities in the country. In order to try to improve efficiency, the chancellor of the university, who leads its executive board, has asked the head administrator to undertake an exercise to benchmark GU's administration departments against the other two large universities in the country, AU and BU. The Government Education Ministry has supported this initiative and has required all three universities to cooperate by supplying information. So there is some information given here. There are certain drivers given here. The information, certain cost details are given, drivers are given. The key drivers of costs and revenues have been assumed to be the research contract values supported, student numbers, and total staff numbers. The head administrator wants you to complete the benchmarking and make some preliminary comments on your results. Very small case. So there is a particular there is a mention about a particular university, Ganymede University. This is one among the 3 largest universities in this particular country. So all these universities are in the public sector, and GU obtains the vast majority of its revenue through government contracts for the academic purposes. The scenario is that this economy is in recession. So as a result of that, in the last year, and this has caused government to cut funding for all the universities in the country. Now we need to look into the benchmarking process. When the question is about benchmarking, see, the only amount of information is about the different types of all these funds are from the government. But now government also wants to cut down these funds that are sanctioned to these 3 universities. So we are asked to take up a benchmarking exercise. See, in order to try to improve efficiency, the chancellor of the university, who leads its executive board, has asked the head administrator to undertake an exercise to benchmark GU's administration. So GU is one university to benchmark it. So they have come to the opinion that GU's performance is standard, and therefore GU is considered as a benchmark to consider to benchmark GU's administration departments against the other 2 large universities in the country. So the other 2 universities are AU and PU. The Government Education Ministry has supported this initiative and has required all 3 universities to cooperate by supplying information. The following information has been collected regarding administrative costs for the most recent academic year. See, all these details are about the costs. Then we have the drivers also given. The number of students, student numbers, staff numbers, research contract value. The key drivers of costs and revenues have been assumed to be research contract value supported, student numbers, and the staff numbers. The head administrator wants you to complete the benchmarking and make some preliminary comment on your results. So there are 2 requirements: assess the progress of the benchmarking exercise to date, explain the actions that have been undertaken, and those that are still required. That's for 10 marks. Second question says, evaluate as far as possible Ganymede University's benchmark position. So how do we answer this one, solve this one? Let's copy this entire question onto the Excel file. There the question also would be there available, and then look into that question and then write the answers there in the Excel file. So I will take this entire question to the Excel file and then let's answer this. 1 second. Sorry about that. Let's solve it. Okay, so the question is here. If we are to answer the first one, so what does the question talk about? The question is, assess the progress of benchmarking exercise to date, explaining the actions that have been undertaken and those that are still required. So if that is the first question, what's benchmarking exercise? What's benchmarking exercise? The exercise has 7 steps. So the process, benchmarking process. There are 7 steps in that. So the question is asking us, um, the question is asking us to talk about, see, what is the progress of benchmarking exercise? How many steps are completed? How many are still to be completed? So step by step, 7 steps. Let's keep looking into that and then keep writing there as the answer. So step number 1 is set objectives and decide the areas to benchmark. That's step number 1. Was it completed or not also has to be commented there. So it is in a way to test whether conceptually you are aware of what is the benchmarking process. Also, are you able to relate it to a particular organization also is tested here. So the progress of benchmarking. So step number 1. Step number 1. What is step number 1? Step number 1 is set objectives and decide areas to benchmark. What's the objective? This is the information here we have. Below is only some more. So from this, can we identify what is their objective now? Why do they want to take a benchmarking activity? What is their objective behind that?
To improve efficiency.
That's it, to improve efficiency. So to improve efficiency, the chancellor of the university who leads the has asked to undertake a benchmarking exercise. So the objective is already, so this step is completed. The objective is to improve efficiency. See, was it completed? So if we talk about the step is completed. Step number 2. What is step number 2? If you, it says identify KPIs and drivers. See, what are the KPIs? Did they complete the step? Yes. See, the key performance indicators and the drivers. The key drivers are, we have student number, staff number, and research contract value. So by calculating the amount of cost proportionately, see the numbers are different. The student numbers are different. The staff numbers are different. The total amount of research contract value which is allotted to each of the universities is different. So taking the drivers to be as these values, we have to measure the performance proportionately. The for this number of students, what should be the cost, etc. So the KPIs are decided and the drivers are also decided. So what are they? We see that student numbers, staff numbers, and research contract. So these are the things. So was this step completed? Yes, this one also was completed. So I'll write it here. This step is also completed. Then we see step number 3. Step number 3 says that select organization partners for benchmarking comparison. So was that done? Yes. The organization partners are GU, AU, and BU. So we see that this step is also completed. Then step number 4. Step number 4 says that measure performance of all organizations partners involved in benchmarking. Measure performance. So until this point, what is their performance has to be measured. See, measuring the performance, we have the cost information provided to us for all the 3 universities. So what is the amount which is spent? See, cost data is provided. So we can mention that this is also completed. But the next one, which is step number 5, it says it is compare performance. That is step number 5. But was the comparison done? No, it is only the data is provided in a table. But on a comparative note, we don't have their performance. Compare performance. So this is not completed. So obviously, when step number 5 is not completed, so step number 6 and 7 also would be incomplete. 6 will be suggesting some improvements, specify improvement projects, and then implement those improvements. So 6 and 7 also will obviously will not be completed. So specify improvements. This is also not completed. Then step number 7. So obviously this is also not completed. See, there are 7 steps. See, the this particular question has 10 marks allotted. We have 7 steps here. So when you talk about each step, let's say identifying, listing out each step may carry half mark. See, identifying whether what is the objective, what are the KPIs, etc. So likewise, if you talk about it and then whether it was completed or not completed when you mention that, another one point. So we there it is 3.5, here it is 7. So 10, 10.5 marks, you can score simply. See, point wise, if you write, so it is easy. It is not the length of the answer which matters, but it is whether you have covered that content in those points or not is what matters. 7 steps, just remember 7 steps as they are. Talk about what that step is. Don't have to um, keep on explaining what that point means. Very precisely, if you talk about it, is also sufficient. It only exhibits that you are aware of what that content is. See, if you write one full page answer, you will get marks, is nothing like that. Okay, done. And then ability to connect it to that particular case is also very important. You should get connected to that case and talk about what are the points about that case. Okay. Um, seven steps. 10 marks can be very easily scored. The next bit B, what did they ask? The next one says that evaluate as far as possible Ganymede University's benchmark position. Ganymede University's benchmark position. Ganymede is GU. See, they have already decided that this will be benchmark. See, uh, they were asked to undertake an exercise to benchmark GU's administration. So, GU is the benchmark now, but we are evaluating whether GU is the appropriate benchmark or not. So, critical analysis this is. See, we are not accepting as it is about GU's position, that GU is the benchmark, but rather the question is asking us evaluate as far as possible Ganymede University's benchmark position. So first thing is performance is also not compared. So only on comparison we would know whether GU is better than AU and BU or not is what has to be done. So what do? We need to compare the performance. So statement showing comparative performance of GU, AU, BU. So write a heading title to the table. We see that 3 universities are there: GU, AU, and then we have BU. Okay. There are lists of costs given. Now we need to also identify what would be the cost drivers for these things. Let's first list out all the costs. The costs that are there. We have contract management. After contract management, then we have laboratory management. After laboratory management, teaching facilities management. Student support services. We have account. Oh no, we have teachers. Then we have accounting. Then human resources. Then IT. Then general services. So suitable drivers. There are 3 drivers are there mentioned. Drivers are student numbers, staff numbers, and research contract value. So which one will go with which one is what we have talked about. So contract management, laboratory management is related to because the heading is also given very clearly research. So research contract value will be the cost driver for these two. So the driver is research Next, we see after that, teaching facilities management. Teaching facilities management. What would be the driver? That may be student number. Student numbers. Teachers support services. Teachers. So for all the other things, it's staff numbers. Okay. See, as it is, the cost data is provided to us. So whatever is the cost that is spent is provided to us. But when we look at the drivers are not on par. They are not all equal. They are different. See, if we look into research contract value, it is 185 million. Here it's given as million. Otherwise, the numbers are given in thousands, but this is given in million dollars. So 185 million, 167 million, 152 million. So 185 million is the research contract value. The amount that was spent in for GU is 14,430. So 185,000, about 185 million, if it represents 100%, 14,430 is what percentage? That's how we calculate. I will write it here. 185 million. If this represents 100%, then 14,430 is what? See, this has followed by 6 zeros. So this is 185 million. So if we eliminate the zeros part of it, because if we take all the zeros, so this will be 14,430 divided by 185. So in that case, 14 is equal to, check the calculation in the formula bar. So the way I'm typing, you just look into the formula bar. 14,430 divided by 185. See, if you multiply into 100, it becomes percentage. Otherwise, it is just a integer. Then comes AU. AU will be, it is 167, and there it is 14,574 divided by 167. Then comes BU. BU will be 14,719 divided by 150. Similarly, we do it for laboratory management also. Now, laboratory management, the cost is 41,810. . Then it is 42,897. Then we see 42,646. Then comes teaching facilities management. What's the driver here? The cost driver is student numbers. See, um, in the drivers are, these two drivers are given in thousands, and the last driver is given as a million. So we have truncated decimals here. So the decimal, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, 6 zeros we have truncated. So we paste a decimal here. So after 185, all 6 are eliminated, and then we didn't take it into calculation to make it simple. Uniformity has to be maintained for the other two drivers also. It is 28,394, then followed by 3 zeros, so which is technically 28,394,000. So here now we have to place a decimal here, because 6 digits, before 6 digits the decimal has to be placed. So because we placed here 185 followed by 6 digits, no, so uniformity for that sake. Now how do we do the calculation? Please please follow the calculation. The amount is teaching facilities management is 26,993 is equal to 26,993 divided by 28 point, I'm putting a decimal before 6 digits, the way we've done it earlier also. 28.394. Next is equal to 27,263 divided by 22.783. Then we have 26,723 divided by 29.061. Now student support service 2002. Then we have it as 2022. Then we have 2132. On a similar note, the other things also, which are all dependent on staff numbers as the driver. Here it is equal to 4,005 divided by 7.920. Then here it is 4,100 divided by 7.709. Then we have it as 2,132 divided by 8.157. This is 161. 157. 161. 1236, 1203, then 1559. Four seven one. Six one eight 87, 6187. Then we have 6013, 6013, and finally 17,049. Then 16,095. We got it. Why are the values so big? The last one, 18,644. Now, quickly, we to talk about whether GU's position is the appropriate benchmark position or not. Is critical evaluation. So, was GU the appropriate benchmark or not? If we have to talk about it. I'm just writing the comments here. Time is also done, so I'll just very briefly. You talk about each point as a small paragraph and then talk. See, GU is considered to be as the best. That's why GU's position is benchmark. But do we see any such thing happening here? GU has spent. Who would be considered as efficient? The scenario is government wants to cut down the funds. So whoever consumes less amount of cost, whoever saves cost will be considered as the best. So that is the point here. So what do we see here? GU has spent 78 percentage wise for the total value of research contract that is allocated. AU is 87, BU is 97. So here we see GU is doing good. GU is good. Next one, 226, 257, 281. Here as well, we see GU is only good. Coming to the third aspect, teaching facilities management, 951, 1197, and 920. We see BU's performance is better than GU's performance. BU is good. Then student support services, 71, 89, 73. See, GU is only good. Next comes, correct? So much difference, 261, 2132 by 8 point. Teacher support services, 4441. Nobody is following what I am typing. Okay. So 506, 532, and 544. Here as well, G is only good. Next, 204, 204, 197. BU seems to do well. Then next, GU and AU. So both of them are doing well. Next, we see BU is good. Last, it is AU is good. See, out of so many areas, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Out of 9 areas, we see that GU is good in about 50% of the time. GU is good. The rest of the time, we see other universities are doing well. See, out of 9, 5 areas where GU is good, but we see in other areas either BU or AU is good. So can we talk about GU as a benchmark? Benchmark is a standard. So their performance is standard in all aspects. But here we do not see a GU to be a benchmark because its performance is not up to the mark. Therefore, we are evaluating. So every point, I just wrote it here as a comment next to the column because time is also not there. What will you do in the examination? It's a 15 marks question. So talk about the first item. So the first item is contract management. So the table, the calculated value you will have, and then you talk about it. So the performance of which university is better here. So GU is better. Then come to the next one. Write the next heading and then talk about 2 to 3 lines. That will be sufficient. See, we will talk about whether that university is good because the efficiency now is in terms of cost saving. Less cost consumption is the criteria for measuring efficiency. So if that is the situation, then who's better? So we can finally conclude that almost 50% of the time GU is good and not good for the remaining percentage. So in that case, it is a question mark whether going forward GU should be considered as the benchmark. So that's how you will conclude. 15 marks are there, 9 points are there, 9 into, so the same logic if we take it up also, 9 into 1.5, the calculation if you take half a mark, interpretation 1 mark, 1.5 mark if you allot it also, 9 into 1.5, it comes up to 13.5, 4.5, no, 13.5. Overall, when you conclude what is your opinion, that will be another 1.5 marks. So altogether, total 15 marks you can score. So 10 marks and 15 marks, 25 marks, very easy to score the marks. So that's how you have to proceed further. Any situation, any criteria about benchmarking, this is how you will have to answer. So what is the benchmark process? Take it up and then answer it accordingly. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know when am I going to meet you again. Hopefully next week we'll meet.